Hi guys, and welcome back. In this video, I actually want to go through some pretty amazing comments that I have received from you over the course of the last year. So some of them you might not even remember that you commented on a video. And for the purpose of that, we're going to go through quite a few videos. And, I'm not sure I'm going to address them all in this particular video, but we'll see how far we come. Now, I did have a different video out there, which was basically debunking a whole lot of new age, new cage type of stuff, all blended and above. And that was all about, are the angels good or not? Disclaimer, they're not. And a whole bunch of other things such as Hindu gods and everything. So just as an answer to that, I actually want to go through comments that I have received that are really eye-opening and I think a lot of people could benefit from. Now, before I do that, I do want to say, here's my channel. And obviously, if you're subscribed to it, but there is this playlist new to this channel right here. Okay. Has about, I don't know, 14 something videos at this point. If you haven't seen it yet, definitely go check it out. The first few videos are from 2021, so almost 3 years ago at this point, but they still ring very true. And it's just kind of building up from that. So it's very hard when you come to this channel and you don't really know what I'm talking about. I mean, some videos it's okay, you don't need a whole bunch of background knowledge with the other videos, but yet with others, such as these entire, what are older clones, what are newer clones, what are these entities in our fields, everything. I do find a lot of these videos kind of give an answer, also where's our soul kept and everything. So yeah, definitely do that if you have the time. It's just something that I would recommend. And then I'm literally going to share this screen for the remainder of this video. This is one of the thumbnails, how you were tricked to come to Earth 1 billion years. Just for the purpose of, I'm going to go through 10 different videos and just want to focus on my screen here. Okay, so first and foremost, a really amazing comment that I received just a few days ago from Tawny, I think that's your name. And this is in regards to an older video. It's, are the Akashic Records a program? How many suns are there? I'm just mentioning the video name so you can look them up in the playlist. But basically, this person said, a few years ago, I started sun gazing, didn't even know it was a thing. I noticed that the sun gave me energy. However, the first symbol I saw pop out of the sun was the triangle with the all-seeing eye. And I thought to myself that the sun is definitely being programmed somehow. Once again, confirming things for me. Thank you for your insight. I thought that was so interesting because in this particular video, I'll basically talk about how there are at least 2 to 3 different suns, how the sun that existed a few decades ago, a few centuries ago, a few thousand years ago is most likely not the same sun that we're dealing with right now. And this is similar to the LED lights that kind of came around. So we had a different light bulb, right? And then more recently, over the past decade or so, it all switched over to LED, which I do think LED really messes with the feng shui of a room, of an apartment, of everything. Not that I know that much yet about feng shui, even though I am kind of diving into it over this past year already. But I've noticed when I switched over from the regular warmer light bulb to these cold LED lights, which the reason I did it was because the electricity bill really did go down. Like it was cut in half. I do have to say that much. And I was like, okay, let's just try it out. But the moment I did it, I almost regretted it because the entire room temperature, just like the energy of the room almost changed. Before it was almost like this homely, cozy feeling. And now it's like, ugh, it's super cold. So I basically almost don't even turn those lights on at this point. And so I feel it's similar to the sun. The sun was kind of switched over to this LED AI whenever, I don't know, it was in the 80s or 90s. It's still something to read on. But this comment in and of itself is very interesting because she's basically saying they were pushing the eye of Ra, which is also something you see on the $1 note. You see that everywhere. You see that with Jeff Bezos from Amazon, like the drooping eye. You see that even with some people I interviewed on my old channel, some of the big ones, not going to mention who, it's a woman though. And you see that it's basically just a hijacking of consciousness, right? And so when you see that triangle with the all-seeing eye, it's a program that they're trying to push on you. Another comment that I got on this particular video was, so you're saying plants are artificial and everything that grows in nature because the sun is the reason why they can grow in the first place. And my comment was, you mean like the greenhouse effect? Are you familiar with artificial LED lamps and how plants grow under them? That should answer this question. And the person goes on saying, so you don't believe daytime daylight is a natural occurrence? And then I just replied, I have a video from earlier this year which discusses how we are possibly underground or in a huge cave. It's the Inner Earth, the Cross X video, which is a really good video, and I'll definitely blend that into. So basically, I'm not saying all plants, all trees, all whatever is artificial. I do think some are artificial, just like I also think some animals are AI. Not all of them, but some. And I do find people who are AI, let's just say they are clones, robots, whatever, they are more drawn to the soulless AI, meaning the soulless pets or whatever. And I've seen that. Like there was this one picture, there's this one photographer. He had like 3 million followers, really, really popular photographer in travel photography. He posted this one picture of llamas, and both his eyes looked really dead, and then the llama's eyes looked really dead too. And I'm like, oh, that is so interesting. I wonder if soulless beings attract other soulless beings somehow, or what's really going on there. But basically what I'm saying is, no, not all plants are artificial. Absolutely not. There are for sure still a lot of organic things, even in this reality, although they are trying to take that away from us. And that's why they're already spraying everything around us, you know, like all the farms, organic farmers, all of that. I don't even think the organic farms are that organic at all. But basically, they're trying to take that. They're trying to take the nature out of the nature. And so when the sun is artificial, what that means is you can also grow plants under a greenhouse, like with an artificial LED lamp. You know, there's literally lamps for your own plants at home. You basically can just put your lamp there so that the plant indoors grows better if you don't get enough sunlight in your home. So it's basically something like that. Here's another good one. If we live under a dome with a fake sun, why has the Schumann resonance gone up? So I do want to say, I've never actually said we live under a dome. I know other people claim they know everything and they say we live under a dome. I don't even go that far. For me, for sure, we're living somewhere, either in inner cave earth or somewhere under something. Okay, we're not really in what we used to be like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years ago. But so with this inner dome, maybe there's another video on that I want to do, but that's just not gonna, yeah, comment below if you want a video on it. I'll read on that. So basically what I meant was the Schumann resonance is just AI technology used by the deep state to hijack your body's energies and vibrations like a computer. I explained that in the matrix technology that they're using. So that was a pretty good one, actually. Sandrine asked, is the higher self real? And I kind of just say, you know, the inner self summarizes it up much better. The higher self implies it's outside of you and can be a random entity disguised as such. All your answers already lie within you. The next few videos that I had, we're going to showcase that. So this is like 10 months ago, by the way. People are also talking, I want to go to this next video, which is Dolores Cannon, talking about their QHHT sessions and how they saw all these random entities and how they kind of knew that these are just not for the better good of them. Here's a really good one. Okay, another one on Hindu gods. So Maya saying, thank you so much, dear love. Thanks so much, dear. Love your insights. I had asked you during the last live about Hindu gods. I mean, we're almost 2 billion now here in India. The majority of Hindus worship some deity who all are powerful. Some chant, meditate, and completely dedicate themselves. However, one school of scripture talks about the oneness, which is the Advaita Vedanta. It's a term from India. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. I'm a tarot reader. I never invoked any spirit while reading, but I recently became goddess Kali devotee. But since the full moon, I feel totally disassociated with myself and surroundings. So when you feel disassociated after you call in an entity or you become a devotee of an entity, which the full moon, the entire moon is artificial, okay? The reason people react to the full moon, such as I saw very clearly when I was in Greece like a few months ago, how I don't even know what it was with the energy of Greece. I want to have a video on the soul trap in Athens. I also want to have a video on Cyprus and the vortexes there. But basically, I think certain areas trigger more moon AI in people than others. And for me, somehow Santorini in Greece was that, where I really saw very clearly how people were reacting to the moon. I personally, just being outside of all of that, because once you're outside of it, you see what's going on. I personally knew exactly. So they're still kind of hooked into some AI, meaning some nanobots or whatever in their body. And the moon is sending those signals to them to react more aggravated, to react more angry towards each other. So if you feel disassociated after calling in those, in this case, it was a goddess or entities, they're trying to unground you. And it could also mean you have an energy leak, which, by the way, you should, there's exercises you can use for energy leaks and everything. But parts of your energy you're not in control of, and it can make you feel that way. So basically, they're trying to take you over somehow. She's also saying, when I started chanting mantra, that's when my head started splitting, actual headaches and disassociation. I'm split between this Advaita Vedanta philosophy of oneness and the devil worship. I think it's closer to the devil worship. I'm not saying everything is a devil worship, but it's closer to it. Sometimes feel Devi Adi Shakti is that oneness. And I actually asked her, how many Hindu gods are there? And it seems there are like 33. I don't know what that means, crores, 33,000 or 33 million. I'm not really sure. We still haven't gotten an answer to that. I really want to know how many million of gods there are, because I think it's a clue to how many souls there possibly could be. We're going to move on to the video, What is Controlling Your Thoughts? And this is from about a month ago. And so in this one, Kyle is actually saying, I have something to add regarding the cellular signals. I don't believe it is a matter of intensity, but density. They started with the longer waves of 3 and then G, and slowly introduced higher frequency waves to gradually acclimate the body. So it wasn't a vividly clear indication of what was bombarding our bodies and minds. I'm really digging your content. Thank you so much. I'm really digging this comment, actually, because it also makes a lot of sense. I think it's a mix of both, actually. I do think the intensity has definitely increased, but it is correct. The density has increased. So if you go to certain areas, and I very clearly noticed that when I was in Costa Rica back in 2019, and when I was actually in the Daintree Forest in Australia also in 2019, which Australia is completely bombarded with the 5 and then the G, with the entire cellular network at this point, worse than anywhere else I've seen before. And it's also the worst reaction I ever had to it. Someone asked me the other day how I knew I had a poison reaction to that, the new signals that were rolling out. I just knew. My hands were literally burning when I was trying to pick up my phone. I didn't have that here in the US, so it's definitely something that was going on then already. But when you go to these certain areas where you don't have any cellular signal at all, which that was the case in certain parts in the Daintree Forest, it's close to Cairns. It's like an hour and a half from Cairns for people who are up there. I really felt my entire body was recharging and was actually coming back to normal again. So I spent like 3 days up there. I was like on this tour, like 2 overnights, whatever. And by the time I got out of it, I felt like a completely normal person again. Whereas the time before, like I had this neurological reaction where my body was kind of shaking and all of that. So I think it's a mix of it. But the density definitely works against us for sure. People are also saying, yes, I was attacked by this technology. It first started with ringing in the ears, voices, thoughts, then voices in the head. This is definitely a technology they're using on people to harvest their energy, and it's being used through the satellites and your phones. I can feel it when my electric heater turns. It's like a tread of electricity under my skin moving, and it heats up like a motion detector. So I just replied, you might want to get all that nano out of your body. Like a really, really severe heavy metal detox is what I would suggest, but that's pretty intense. Like that reaction, it kind of shows that you want to get that out, because we're all going to have heavy metals in our body at this point, unless you really do live somewhere like the Daintree Forest, which I'm assuming you're not because you're watching this. It doesn't even matter where you are. You can be on the most remote island or whatever. But basically, they're spraying the skies everywhere. If you have a military in your country, you're going to have your skies being sprayed, with all of that. Some people say, it's just chemicals, but I think it's definitely heavy metals and nano and all of that. And then, of course, the food doesn't help. even though the food feels more organic in certain parts of the world, absolutely, you're still going to have a little bit of that in there. Unless you really go fresh to the market, fresh to wherever the farmers would grab it off the field, which even nowadays, especially here in the US, I feel it's all infiltrated, but it's definitely a better option than just going to the supermarket. I'm trying to see if there are more things. Oh yeah, here's another interesting one. What you said about there never being a solution, it makes me think of how they are framing the Middle East conflict as Palestine versus Israel and nudging everyone to take a side. And once you do, you're in a battle with the other side. What people need to realize, there's only one choice with that scenario. They are forcing you to choose war, no matter what you support. I wish people could see this. Yeah, I was just like, it's true. It's a good way to look at it. It's all about draining resources of all the other countries getting involved as well, especially resources from the US, but also other countries, you know. In addition, they're draining our energy through this. And I know quite a few people who still follow this conflict daily, and they really can't even think a coherent thought outside of it anymore. It's a very dangerous game they are playing with our minds. So don't get too invested into something. I know it's hard, but if you really saw what I see energetically when I look at all those videos, which I still think a lot of videos that they show from the Gaza conflict are still from 2021 or years before, you got to ask yourself, why are they doing that? Why is all this propaganda? Of course, it sucks that an entire nation is being basically wiped out. I'm not saying it's great or whatever, but there's a propaganda going on and there's a deeper thing going on here. And I think aside from the separation, it is really draining a lot of people's energies. And I literally know people who can't think straight. You know, like the first few weeks this happened, it almost felt like some brain cells of people were being destroyed somehow who were following this. It was just the weirdest thing ever. Brent, which by the way, Brent, again, I love your comments. You have one of the best comments out there. And I'm going to read this one. KMIR logo is exactly the same as MSNBC, which is exactly the same logo off Lucifer's black leather jacket in a movie called Lucifer Rising. I think it was brought out in the mid-90s. I just feel they've been rubbing it in our faces for so long. And I'm really surprised that no baby boomer or Generation Xer has really caught up to this. I already said this like back at the other channel in 2020 and 2021. Michael Jackson is a prime example how I'm just like, how are people even following this guy? He has such a dark energy. You know, his energy is horrendous. But yeah, no baby boomer, no Generation Xer really caught up to this, I feel. Maybe some did, I don't know. Candid is saying, I know one of the complaints about the iOS 17 is many of them get really hot to touch. I have iOS Pro 12 and even it's often got very hot. Now that it's older, not so much. I have found just recently implementing a zero tolerance for negative loop thoughts because I realize it's related to programming or deliberate attack. That mind is not our own. I have not updated. I have an iPhone too. I don't think I've updated my iPhone iOS since either 2020 or 2021. And I definitely can't access some apps because of it. But overall, I feel I'm better off with it right now. However, I do know I have to update it eventually. There was another comment about moving off grid somehow, which I'm trying to find here. Someone was kind of commenting, I think it was below the same video, we should just all move off grid and build these off grid communities. And, you know, I do think, yes, of course, that's an amazing idea if you have the resources for that. But moving takes energy, time, finances. And as we all know, especially here in the US, but also in other countries, like being in even in a rural and remote area is not necessarily cheap anymore because everyone kind of migrated away from California, from the coastals, from New York, from Florida, from whatever. They kind of migrated all into like Idaho, Montana, Texas, which used to be so cheap. And it's still much cheaper than it is in California and New York State, obviously. But they're making it just more expensive and more unattainable for regular people to really buy and purchase something there. And then, of course, when you're a younger person, you know, which I think some of people watching this certainly are, you kind of want to be, you know, among the crowd. You kind of want to be among entertainments. You kind of want to meet new people, like more of like a city lifestyle. So yeah, I mean, ideally, sure, it sounds great, but they're making it harder and harder to actually do that. I'm not saying it's impossible. For me, I always think the best way is find an area that you love. Doesn't even matter if it's a city, a village, or whatever. Find your soul tribe somehow and just build a strengthening, like a very strong community together. Because we're going to need a team going into 2030. And I keep getting that over and over again. We need a stronger team than we currently have. Oh yeah, I just saw this comment from William. I think our only hope is to somehow plan an escape, start creating off-grid communities somewhere away from all the cell phone towers, the scorched skies, and fake people. Well, you're always kind of going to have fake people because people don't like to be real in this world. At least that's what I've started noticing. At least that's what I want, someplace away from any city or town to build communities centered around holistic medicine, technology, like electroculture, all the energy we'd ever need via ground batteries, self-sustaining atmospheric water collectors. This person has thought it out very well. Copper plumbing systems, food forests all around the communities. Hopefully I and others can live to see that happen. Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not saying it's utopia, but I'm saying some people don't even necessarily want that right now. But I do understand it's going to get harder to live in a city for sure. They're now introducing basic income in addition to all this robot world. So I think this was below the robot video. Exactly what I've been thinking for a while. AI is copying our reality and us, digital twin, with the V and the 5 and the G. Coming implants, it will try to trap our souls even more by transferring our consciousness into the metaverse. So glad I just found your channel. I was like, wow, metaverse. I haven't even thought about the metaverse in a really long time, but it is definitely something they're also building up. You know, there's so much stuff they're building up, isn't it? People are saying Sasha Stone would be a good candidate to review. Okay, I'm sure I'm missing comments here, but I just kind of want to get through this. Here is below the giving consent without knowing URL, spirits, domain names, ad insights, and more. And this video is from, I uploaded it like a year ago. It's like March 2021. Charty is saying AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, was founded after Bill W. had a private audience with Young. That's Carl Jung. He asked Young why he couldn't stop drinking. Young said, "It is spiritus, your soul is sick." Thus, 12-step is based on spiritual principles. So what you say makes sense. Plus, Gaber Mates says not all traumatized people are addicts, but all addicts are traumatized. True. It's actually true, because I find we're all traumatized to a certain degree, especially after the past 4 years. But there is something that makes people addicted and become addicts. And I do think trauma is a huge one. Another person saying, I stopped drinking alcohol years ago. Funny, tequila was what began my problem. May take a shot on a special occasion, but I turned them down now. You know, this is the thing, and this is really what I hate. And I notice that every time I just go somewhere, it's like you really have to justify when you don't want to drink, right? Instead of people just being like, oh, okay, she doesn't drink, great. But it's become this illness, this sickness in every single culture, no matter where you go, unless you really go to like an Arabic country where they don't drink because they're Muslim. Paul is saying there's definitely something bigger than what is being presented with alcohol, just my opinion, but I see a big field of a particular creature, barley, for instance, millions and millions of individual creatures. I see plants as being alive and having a shared spirit, again, just my opinion. And when we process or distill the barley or any plant we get alcohol from, what we are actually doing is taking the life essence of the plant, literally the spirit of the creature. No wonder to me why it is such a destructive thing. This is an amazing comment. I do have to say that. Wow. And he's also saying I was seriously being messed with by the ads. I had to skip an ad or get the phone in time to stop the disgusting intrusions. There are a lot of intrusions that come through with ads. So this video in particular is kind of talking about how the ads give us a lot of clue to their agenda. Every time I see an ad and you kind of just slow-mo it. There was this one ad, was it Nicki Minaj or Rihanna, where she had like this ad for a shoe, and you just really got to look at the symbols in that ad, like the nails she's having, the colors she uses in that ad. It was so demonic, you guys. And people don't get it. You know, they're like, oh yeah, it's just a new celebrity promoting something else. I'm like, no, this is how they're pushing the rituals on us. I'm beginning to understand that we are treated like SHIT by more common or jealous types and elevated or favored by certain people of power or means because they can see us more clearly than we can see ourselves. Interesting comments, actually. Okay, moving on to the next. The visitors. Okay, so the visitors, who are the visitors really? Changing shapes, distractions, genderless aliens, and more. Again, it's in that playlist I mentioned. Dragon is saying, when I look back at all the people that have done this 30 years ago, I look at these people now, 30 years later, they have all lost themselves. That was their outcome. I look at the people that did not go into the spiritual path, and I see grounding. Look around at your friends. It's interesting. It doesn't apply to everyone, but I do think I was just looking at this one video by Aaron Dowdy. I think that's how you pronounce his name, which I might review, by the way. And I don't understand what happened to this guy. You know, he has like millions of followers and everything. He looks like a mentally ill person. Like, he's just a few years older than me, from my understanding. And he literally looks like he lost it. And he also looks like he aged 10 years. So yeah, I do understand that. I'm just trying to go through comments. So there's going to be a few breaks here. This is below the soul containers, hiding your soul in alternate realities, dragons, source taken over by AI, and more. So it's just the video title. A person saying, when I was very young, I had a repetitive dream that always included what I called a devil dog. It would always begin standing, then curl up like a cat or dog in front of me. It was massive, with vibrant orange coloring on top and vibrant yellow on its underbelly. It had a dragon-shaped snout or head, an abnormally long torso, long tail. As I got older, I had the realization that it was guarding me. Now I understand that it was indeed guarding me and why it was doing so. So the video is talking about dragons and how dragons are 100%, I want to say 99.99% are not good, even though some new ages really promote them. Catriona is asking, what's the point of our clone bodies? What is responsible for imprisoning our soul? Are the dragons benevolent? No, they're not. Who controls the AI? The source situation is mind-blowing. Thank you. I think this is just material for a whole new video. I can already see we're like 28 minutes in. What's the point of our clone bodies? So they can mess with you energetically. That's the short answer. Because if you have that floating around, if you have your soul consciousness, parts of your soul trapped in one of the clone bodies on these alternate realities, and I know for sure, I see that all the time, especially in sessions, just from personal experience, they can mess with you more. You know, so if you all of a sudden have a pain in your body, that doesn't come out of nowhere. That's usually a sign that they're messing with you. For me, it's usually always around the stomach area. I do want to say that. It feels very particular. Shayna is saying, when you're talking about our souls being kept in a container, it reminds me of the Kiss Me More music video with Doja Cat and SZA. They're even playing a video game in the video that it shows all these jars with lids at the end. And I intuitively knew they were showing us how our souls are stored. Totally mocking us too. So this is in regards to, you know, our souls being stored in certain containers. Some of those are these jars, or, you know, kind of like the test tubes. Some of them are actual coffins. And I do want to say I have come across more and more music videos, especially by, I don't know if it's heavy metal or punk scene, that has a lot of imagery that I usually see during some of these sessions. So it's interesting she mentioned that. People are saying my subscription to your channel was cut off without my consent. So people are being unsubscribed. If you think you're unsubscribed, subscribe again, honestly, or just keep checking this channel. I do produce content like every 5-6 days or so. And I do want to have a live stream in the new year, by the way. So you need to subscribe to participate in that. Okay. I'm a new subscriber. This is a year ago. This is a comment. Is there a way we can tell how much of our soul is imprisoned? I don't drink and I have never done any drugs whatsoever. That's fine. You don't have to do any of this for your soul still to be imprisoned. This is a new concept to me. Also, what you differentiate as a new age and what isn't is interesting. In the past, I would have lumped everything occult and esoteric under the new age umbrella. Also, I have followed almost all the people you've done reviews on, you know, Dolores Cannon, all of that. But I've become disenchanted with most of what they say lately. I'm finding your insights fascinating. And I've been interested in esoteric studies since I've been a child in the 70s. So I'm just saying most of the time, either your entire soul or major chunks would be kept away from you. You are able to retrieve those for sure, though. So that's the thing. Even though they're being kept away from you, you are able to retrieve them, but you have to be aware of what's going on and you have to have certain techniques ready. We have an innate spirituality within us. All these concepts suggested by the New Agers are mostly meant to drag us outside of us by promoting the spirit misguide, the violet flame, the angel, etc. agenda. It's just another program just to confuse us even more, and it certainly won't get us out of here, meaning out of the matrix. Scintilla saying you should do a review of the movie Silent Hill. A mother has to find her daughter, which is a soul, who disappears at Silent Hill, which is otherworld, and is getting caught by an evil witch, which is Archon. The search of the mother for her daughter is the hero's journey in search of liberation from this matrix. The town seems to be a gateway or a window between two dimensions. There's the Silent Hill in our physicality, and there's also a darker, twisted version that seems to exit on top of ours. Rose, Sharon, and a female police officer all get caught in the latter and must survive the horror to find their way out. The whole movie reeks of 4D references. There's even a hyperdimensional being tossed in for the heck of it. It speaks of the power of emotion, specifically hate, which is another quant reference. There's also my favorite line, your religion causes death. Sounds very good. And then Dimension is saying, well, the Silent Hill games lore is based on some heavy shit, so it does reflect that in the movie to a small degree. In my opinion, it's a very dark movie and it's even slightly political. And then another person commented how they love Silent Hill. Yeah, I've never seen that movie. Might be something to look into for sure. Okay, I wanted to do one more comment before we might wrap this up for today. I can already tell there are just so many comments here. Just one of the first videos I wanted to, yeah, okay, hold on, guys. How we were tricked to come to Earth. So that's actually what this thumbnail is about. Okay, Moon Bunny's saying, I'm not understanding how vacation and mission can hold the same space. I interpret that a mission is having work to do and a vacation is having fun with exploring. Either way, glad to have met you. And I'm just saying we were tricked to come here. Some were promised a holiday from another place to Earth, which is like, you know, call it like another planet, call it another dimension, whatever. And then we just got looped in here over and over again, and we're still here because we were mind wiped. So that's basically what I meant by that in the shorter term. I do realize these comments are all over the place, but I think for people who've been following this, they make sense. If not, let me know if there's anything else I should kind of discuss here. With the Dolores Cannon video, some people are saying Dolores Cannon was a high-ranking witch, literally. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Although I still think Dolores Cannon, she didn't really 100% know what she's doing. And I still think her daughter, Julia Cannon, is kind of the same, but they're still in touch with these random entities, right? I mean, they came out during a time when you just didn't have, I felt people didn't have the discernment they have now or that they should be having now. And so when people are under this spell, because everything's new, there's no books about, you know, being hijacked, your soul being hijacked, your pieces of your soul being hijacked through the entire New Age agenda, yeah, of course, people are going to buy everything that these people push on you, which is why it's so important to debunk so many of these things right now. But obviously, there's a fan club here that she had, but luckily, people are kind of seeing through that too. I don't know if she did witchcraft, but she definitely did QHHT, which hypnosis is an altering of your consciousness in a form or another. There was a comment here, I don't know her name, but she's basically saying, I had a QHHT session and I couldn't go under. Trust issues, LOL. And I know this because when I had my first QHHT session, the practitioner said the same. She was like, oh, it's trust issues. I'm like, no, it's my subconscious protecting me from being psychically attacked by her, which basically is what happened. She psychically attacked me. I had this snake symbol come through and was trying to choke me in that session. So the person goes on saying, I tried to read Third Wave. That's one of the books Canon had, but it pained me when I would hear about how the implants were helping people and they would get them refreshed or whatever. I couldn't agree. So I read some of the psychoanalysis for entertainment, but it made me cringe. And I'm just saying, yeah, actually my first QHHT session was the same problem. Trust issues with the practitioner, and then I was severely psychically attacked during it by her. So this is back in 2015, by the way. This is the first time I had 2 QHHT in the same year, like within a month difference or 2 months difference. And it's basically when I left it behind because I knew there was something inorganic about it. Another Diane is saying, my session was completely ridiculous. He kept asking me what I saw and I felt like I had to make up a story for him. Also, I could hear his wife and dog in house and couldn't relax. I asked if he had a white noise machine, but he didn't. Sounds like she did a remote QHHT, which they call BHQ or something at this point. I don't even know. We were just suggesting more people like Esther Hicks and all of that. What do you think of Leo King? Leo King's probably controlled by someone. Look at how he's pushed. His energy is also pretty horrendous. Yeah, I am not impressed by Leo King. I think he's an astrologer or something. What does AI do? I know that Dolores Cannon learned that you must get rid of resentments and fear. That's what she taught also, and this is propaganda because someone didn't agree with the video. AI attacks and misleads, copies and pastes, but more videos on it to come for sure. Yeah, I mean, people were saying she was really the first to kind of introduce all these concepts. I agree, but just because she was the first doesn't mean she was the best, right? And obviously it misled millions and thousands of people. Here below another video, which is how parts of your soul are trapped in a different reality. A person saying, I was targeted 3 months ago. The cage you are describing, I have seen myself in it with red bars and red fire beings, small, poking at me, laughing. That's exactly what I've seen before too. I've also seen the black dragon. This is the first time I have heard someone else describe what I'm going through. Okay, you guys, I think we're gonna leave it at that. Thank you so much. It was a really wild, reading comments, trying to pull up all these videos. There's obviously so many more comments to go through, but we'll get through them. I think we will. And until then, thank you so much for your support, everything you do. And stay tuned for more videos to come. I feel there's just so much content to go through. There's never enough time. I definitely feel like I'm constantly just running out of time, especially lately. While I'm recording this, it is the end of the year, and I always feel they're doing that always at the end of the year or at the end of the season or at the end of your own personal year, which is like your birth year. So another interesting thing, the technology they have for that. But if you're new, subscribe to this channel and talk to you very soon. Have a wonderful one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.